They're rolling. So welcome to today's video. Today's video is slightly different from the style of videos that we have been shooting for Bankhouse Media for the past while. And the reason why I'm making today's video is that today, the 18th of October, is my 4th year anniversary of being off alcohol. So I wanted to mark this year by doing a video just talking about some of my experiences throughout the past 4 years and just some of the positive things that has actually happened in my life after I finally knocked like the toughest habit that I've ever had to knock and my greatest achievement, I believe, to date, and giving up alcohol. Over the past 4 years, whenever I look back, there's been so many people have like sent me messages, sent me emails, got my phone number off a friend and contacted me and reached out to me confidentially and asked me, you know, how did you stop drinking? Do you think I should stop drinking? This is what I'm going through right now. And I've always answered the phone. I've always replied to the people. I've always just done anything that I possibly could, because whenever I wanted to ask that question, the people that I asked really helped me. So what we've actually done today, we have put together, me and my closest friends and a few people at the team in work, have put together like 6 questions that we're just going to run through. I'm going to answer them as honestly as I possibly can. And hopefully that will help somebody else that's maybe sitting right now in the current situation that we're in, lockdown, in the house, bottle of wine, whatever it may be. Bars don't have to be open to drink. You know, I drank in the house. I would have drank anywhere. I loved drinking alcohol. I was very good at it. My current situation right now, I've got a couple of businesses. I'm a film producer. I've got a digital media agency. I've got a brilliant team of people working with me, and I love my job and I love my life. I travel between Ireland and America, and it's something that I'm very grateful that I have the opportunity to do. But I wasn't always here. In the last recession, I ended up going bankrupt and I lost everything. And I don't think it's a coincidence that in the last economic downturn, in the last recession, I really bottomed out and had absolutely unemployment and broke to nothing. We're 8 months into this one, and my businesses are thriving. I'm actually opening another business in the healthcare industry. So I really want people to see this and to realize that if you do make the change, if you do make a couple of different changes in your life and knock any addictions that you have, that there is a possibility that, you know, you can be much happier. Like I just am much happier. So the first question that we went through is, at what point did I realize that I wanted to give up alcohol? You know, I actually finally gave up alcohol at 33, but at 30, from about 31, I was sort of thinking, I really don't like this anymore. I'm not enjoying this anymore. And it wasn't just on a Sunday. Whenever we all get that, we're on a Sunday and we're thinking, I'm never drinking again. But I was starting to get it even whenever I was pouring a drink. And that went on for like a couple of years. So it was whenever I was just turned 31, I was thinking, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. At that point, I knew that I had an issue. I knew that I had a problem. Actually, for years, I knew that I couldn't stop. Even through my 20s, I thought, even if I wanted to stop this, I didn't want to stop at the time, but I knew that I would not be able to, or I felt that I would not be able to. So even if I did ever make a decision to stop drinking, I think that it definitely would have been a struggle. You know, I had my first drink around 13, 14, not something I'm proud of. My parents did not know that. So I drank right up for 20 years up until I was 33. I didn't drink massively in my teens, but it did progressively get more and more. My friends actually made jokes and said that I had hollow legs. I never really got that hammered. I could drink a lot of alcohol. I never got into a fight. I got a hangover where I was a bit emotionally all over the place, but I never actually got like to the point where I couldn't get up and drink again. I was able to get up and drink. So around whenever I was 31, I decided I'm just not really, I need to stop this. This now has a hold on me. I don't like the fact that it has a hold on me, and I can't stop. And for those couple of years, I was probably drinking more, and I think it was because of the fact that I knew that at this point it finally had a hold of me, and I was like, oh my god, I can't stop. So the reason why I stopped whenever I was 33 was the decision was taken out of my hands. My health was starting to deteriorate, and this was, whenever I look back now, I can't believe how serious it was, and I was not taking it seriously at the time at all. I had an issue with my stomach. My stomach was bloating a lot. I had an issue with just my health. You know, there's 5 things that I based why anybody should look at an area and said, do they want to change it? And the 5 things that I had come up with at that time was, is it affecting my health? Is it affecting my fitness? Is it affecting my finances? Is it affecting my business? And is it affecting my relationships? in my early 30s, those 5 things were being absolutely hammered by alcohol, and whenever people reach out to me and they ask me a question, should I give up alcohol? I sometimes go through those 5 questions with them, and most of the time those 5 questions are also being hammered by alcohol. And even though at that point I could still earn money, I still had friends, I still, wasn't completely unable to go to a gym, I was not at my peak performance in any area. And that was it. I had to change it. And I think if you look right now, there's a lot of people sitting there, and check out those 5 areas and just, I don't know, jot it down and see what you think, where you're at. But as I said, I feel that the decision to give up alcohol got taken away from me. So at 33, I was diagnosed with diverticulitis, a hiatus hernia, 3 of my liver bloods were off. I also had high cholesterol. And at that point, I then knew that I was dealing with alcoholism, and I was like, I need to now stop. People were looking at me, and I looked relatively healthy. I didn't look really overweight. I knew myself that I wasn't healthy, the complexion of my skin, and just different things. Over the next couple of months, my weight, I dropped so thin, to the point where my doctors and everybody was very concerned about me at that point. But I did have to remind them, I've dropped about 2,500 calories a day from alcohol and eating rubbish foods into going into at that point I went and met a dietitian. I was changing everything about my life. I was like, I smoke, I drink, all these different things is happening. And at that time, I think I gave up too many things too quick, but I stopped drinking, I stopped eating meat, I stopped smoking, and I just really was trying to my only goal at that point was to become healthy. Again, I didn't really speak to many people about this. This is something that I just had to deal with by myself at that point. I didn't tell my parents. I didn't tell my closest, some of my drinking buddy friends who I hung around with at that time, because none of them would have understood. I had one really good friend who'd been through this before, Shane, and I contacted Shane and I said, I'm giving up alcohol from today, I'm not drinking again. Shane at that point, I think, was maybe 12 years off alcohol, and he just literally clicked into autopilot and was like, okay, no worries, I'm here to support you. And that's what I always sort of do if someone reaches out to me. So I wanted to give up alcohol by the time I was 30, in my 30s. It took me 2 years to get off it, but thank God I got off it, because I honestly believe that if I had not stopped drinking, that I would be dead. Now, I'm 38 now, I'm 4 years off it, and I do think that I would have been dead, because even though those things were happening and my stomach was swelling up, I was not taking any of it seriously. I was not taking my lifestyle choices at that point seriously, and looking back now, I think, I was absolutely crazy, to not take this more seriously. So thankfully, on that day, I gave up the booze, and hopefully, fingers crossed, I never go back on it. One of the questions was, how has my life changed since I stopped drinking? My life has changed dramatically. As I said at the start of this video, I started drinking quite young, and even though I was very ambitious all through my teens and stuff like that, and I worked really, really hard and had various different businesses through my 20s, I did go bust and bankrupt in the last recession, and I ended up on unemployment. At that point, can I blame alcohol? I'd not totally, a lot of decisions were mine. They were going through. If I hadn't been drinking, do I think that would have happened? Potentially, I don't know. I was in the property business, so that could have happened anyway. But I don't think it's a coincidence that at this time in the next sort of economic downturn, I'm thriving. So my life has changed dramatically. I'm probably the healthiest that I've ever been, and probably the fittest I've ever been. And I'm now much more aware of everything that is going on in my life. Whenever I talk about alcohol actually, I believe, takes control of your emotions, and that is one thing that I really, really did not like. So I have full control over my own mind, my thoughts, my emotions. Whenever we talk about giving up alcohol and some of the things and giving up our addictions, I read a quote once, and it really did stick with me. There's a couple of quotes that did stick with me. There is mourning in growth. There is mourning in growth. So as my life was moving forward, a lot of the people that I hung around with at that time, and a lot of people that I drank with, I no longer see anymore. And it's not because they're bad people, I'm bad people, we don't get on. We shook hands, moved on amicably over years, and still see each other and still are able to spend time together and enjoy time together. But for me, I had to go out on my own and really figure out who I was without alcohol in my life. You end up in the wrong relationships, you end up in the wrong business deals. There's so many things that was a knock-on effect from me drinking. And it was just something that I had to get control over. So at that point in my life, I made a lot of bad decisions. Now I'm very grateful that I did make them, and I'm very glad that I did every single one of them, because I learned from it. I learned from every single mistake, and I don't think really there's any bad decisions. I think there's just like lessons in all of those. So I'm very grateful for everything that happened. But right now, what has happened, like, we've ended up doing like so many movies with Bankhouse Productions. Our agency grows. I travel all over the world. I live freely, like wherever I can do. I do everything that I want. The relationships that I have now are just so much better than what they were before. Like, a lot of people that have said to me in the past, how do I give up drinking? A lot of people have came to me that their partners drink, and there's different things. It isn't easy. It's not going to be a very easy road that people just jump on and say, yes, this is going to be easy overnight. I'm going to stop drinking. Overnight, I stopped drinking, but that was where the journey started, and it is 4 years, and I'm still on it. And I still get tested. Like, we still get tested as humans all the time. Like, putting yourself in a position. I've now started putting myself in positions that I maybe wouldn't have 2 years ago, like going on to clubs or different things, different surroundings that may have led me to drinking alcohol. And thank God, like, I've got through them all and haven't actually been caved to anything, and I've been tested. So I feel good that I'm on a very solid road now, that I won't relapse, because that's something that I really, really would not want to do, only because I've seen the benefits of the other side. If I didn't see the benefits that I have seen, would I stop alcohol? No, absolutely not, because I loved it. I love drinking with my friends. I love going to the pub and having a glass of red wine, having a pint of Guinness. I would sometimes kill for like having a margarita. But I understand that the value that is brought in my life to not have that, and it just outweighs any margarita that I ever had in my entire life, any pint of Guinness. It's just what is going on right now in life, the difference in it. Would I be living where I'm living right now if I drank? Absolutely not. I had a 1-bedroom apartment that you couldn't swing a cat in Portobello, that I couldn't even afford the rent in whenever I drank. I could not even afford the rent. Now I live between here and America and can travel freely when and wherever I want, because I've built the businesses and the lifestyle to do that. Could I do that with alcohol? Absolutely not. So if you're sitting right now and you're thinking, would my life change if I stopped drinking? Yes, it would change. It would change for the better. Your relationships would change for the better. Relationships with maybe your children or your family or your parents or your cousins or your siblings. All of that stuff would change for the better. I'm telling you right now that it would, because I have done it. I have literally done it and changed my life for the better. And as I say, it's like definitely a struggle at times, but my life is like a world apart from where it was before. And, I just wish I had maybe give up sooner. One of the questions was, what advice would I give to someone who feels that alcohol is negatively affecting their lives? If someone feels that alcohol is negatively affecting their lives, you're more than likely correct. You're the only one that knows this answer. So if you go back to the 5 things that I had based mine on, I think it's a good place to start. You've got your health, your fitness, your relationships, your finances, and your work life. If I was to look back at mine, all of those were being absolutely hammered. At that point, I did have money. I did have a business. I did have a business that was growing, but it did not grow at the pace that it's growing at now. And I knew that there was something holding it back, and the only thing holding them things back is me. The only thing holding them back for you is you. I've seen this because I've went through it myself, and I've witnessed it with other people. And I've only seen it because I witnessed the change. Whenever I stopped doing that, this is what happened. Whenever I stopped doing that, this is what happened. And I encourage anybody who's sort of having a feeling that it's negatively affecting their lives to maybe look into making a change. Drop me a message, send a comment under this video. And, there is different ways of doing it. There is support mechanisms. I chose to just speak directly to my closest friend. I lived with him for several years. I understood him. I trusted him. He knew everything about me. He knew how much I was drinking at the time. And even though he never really said to me at the time, I think you have a problem, but he always... He was well aware that I did. He didn't push it onto me, thankfully. And he allowed me to figure that out myself and then to come to him. So my advice is to just, if you've got somebody that you're sort of, if you can talk to about that, somebody that you know, or maybe if you ring one of the support organisations. I never personally went through AA. Shane did go through AA, and I think that because he did, and because he sort of guided me through it as my sponsor, very much hands-on all the way through, I didn't feel that I needed to. If I did feel that I was going to relapse, I would have no problems in ringing and speaking to a professional and explaining to them exactly what's going on, and just saying, look, this is something that I need help with right now. Asking for help is so important. If you're in a position right now that you feel that you need some help, then you know that you probably do, you know, and I would advise you to seek help from somebody who could help. One of the questions was, what advice would I give to my younger self? See, I have made peace with my past. I actually am very grateful for my past, all of the things that happened to me that are good and all of the things that have happened to me that are bad or negative. As I said, there's no real bad things, they're just like lessons. So the only thing, I would probably have give up alcohol a bit sooner, but I think everything happens with timing. So there's a quote that I heard throughout this process as well, and it's really stuck with me. It's like, you know, focus all your energy on not fighting the old, but building the new. And that's one thing that whenever I look back, I'm very grateful for my past. I'm very grateful for everybody who played their part. And I'm very grateful for all the lessons that it taught me, that I was able to bring them in and say, yes, this is exactly where I'm going in life and this is exactly what I want. So I do think that giving advice to my younger self is just like, I don't know. I definitely think just don't put too much pressure on focusing on the past and just focus all your energy on building the new. Whatever happened yesterday is history, you know, tomorrow's a mystery, and that's it. And you just got to say, what do I want moving forward? It's not like what's the past. You know, you get some lessons in the past and you get a few things and you get answers and things, but it's definitely like the future is where it lies, and focus all your energy on not fighting the old, but like building the new. Focus all your energy on building the future. As I said, like I have lost different people throughout this process, really, really close friends that, you know, through different circumstances. But as sad as that is, building the future and moving forward with it is something that is really, really important, you know, and I think that is where all of your energy should focus on. It's where all of your energy can only focus on right now, because you are building a new life. You know, I stopped going to bars for a period of time because I didn't know if I could trust myself in them. But I now go back to bars and I'm now socialised with my friends, and I can stay as long as anybody else can in the pub. So it's great, but it took me a while to get there. I did avoid it at that time and said I need to change that. So your life doesn't have to like dramatically change where every single person is cut out. I still have my best friends that I had since I was 14. I've still had all the people who were through all of my 20s that are really, really close to me. And, you know, in the middle period, there was maybe a few drinking buddies, but our relationships weren't really built on solid foundations. We loved the crack, having really good nights out together and brilliant memories. But really, our relationships were built on foundations that were all around alcohol. So whenever you're moving forward, maybe those relationships won't stand the test of time, but that's okay, because they're memories, you know, and they're really, really good memories. People are in your life for reasons and people are in your life for seasons. And there's some of them that last all the way through, and it's brilliant to have those. But you can also I've built like really amazing friendships and everything from I stopped drinking with people that I have way more things in common with now, with work or with business or with life or whatever that may be. So don't worry about too much about the past and focus all your energy on building the future and making those relationships long-standing and building a new life for yourself outside the pub and outside addiction, you know, because addiction comes in many different forms. You got gambling, sex, you know, even now social media, you know, social media is an addiction. People will spend a full Sunday scrolling through social media without going outside and going for a walk or going to meet a friend or picking up the phone to ring somebody. How do I know this? Because I've done it. But now I'm able to check in very quick and say, why am I doing this? Is this adding to my life or is it taken away? If it's taken away from my life, I need to address it. And I need to say, okay, I need to stop this. And I think that so many people can and should, you know what I mean, and just look towards it, and there is light at the end of the tunnel, do you know what I mean, from whatever addiction that anybody's going through. So one of the questions was, how did alcohol affect my mental health? Mental health is a really hot topic at the minute. There's so many people dealing with mental issues, and they're going through various different things at various different stages at all ages in life, and I think it's really under supported throughout the whole world. I don't think people take it seriously enough. I think that we all have dealt with mental health issues at some point, you know, if we're being really, really, really honest with ourselves, whether it was coming through as children, whether it was dealing with a relationship breakup, whether it's dealing with a business, you know, breakup, whatever it may be. We've all dealt with stuff that has maybe triggered us and set us into maybe being a bit depressed. And what I've said, like with alcohol and the link to depression or mental health issues or anything like that, I think is huge. I think it's really, really big. Whenever someone is going through a time when they're depressed, I always say, like, well, how much alcohol are you consuming right now? Are you currently smoking? Are you getting steps in? What's your fitness like? You know, and where are you at with your food consumption? Like, what's going on in your life that you could actually stop right now that could actually help do this? Alcoholism is 100% an escapism. Like, it just takes you away from everything that's going on that in that moment and brings you to another planet. It brings you to a place where you feel good, you dance, you laugh, you're out partying, you're enjoying a cigarette, you know, you end up going out with somebody. Whatever ends up happening from that, within that period, that's an escapism away from what you're currently dealing with in reality. Unfortunately, whenever you sober up, your reality becomes a tiny bit worse. So you go back on the drink, and then it ends up being in a snowball effect. Now, I have to admit that whenever I lost everything in the recession, end up on unemployment, I always found money for alcohol, and I always found people to drink with. And that was two of the things that really, really set me on a different trajectory mentally. It really set me on a different path mentally. I spent so much time in the pub and so much time with my drinking mates that it took me away from achieving anything that I've set out to achieve since. So my mental health was not in a good place. Fortunately, I never thought about suicide or anything like that, but a lot of people do. A lot of people go down that route, and a lot of people don't realise that by removing this one thing out of their lives could actually just stop them from doing it. Anyone who's in that situation, you know, there is help out there to get off, like alcohol or drink or drugs or whatever that may be. The direct relation to mental health is huge, you know, and so many people just like brush over it, and just how they deal with it is just by having another pint. That's great in the short term, and it's great in like just keeping everybody numbed out and not realised in like touching base with what their true potential could be, or finding out exactly what it is that they could achieve whenever they don't have that. I'm glad that I was able to pull myself through it. I was looking back at my Instagram. I don't have many posts on Instagram, so I was able to scroll back at that time from 2014, 15, 16, and this was before stories was in place. So I was everybody was posting on their grid. I posted so many positive quotes that were just trying to pull me out of it. I was trying to pull myself out of it at all times, and the quotes still stand to me now. You know, there's a lot of them that are there that I was reading through just 2 days ago. And I was thinking, I can't believe I was posting that now, and this is now what I live by. You know, at that point, you know, even focusing all your energy on the future and not the past, like all those types of things were things that I posted. And one of the things that I posted up at the time was there is mourning in growth, and that is something that I still feel like, but now I've come out the other side of the mourning, and I know that it's so much better on the other side. The last question that we went through was, has there been anybody else's perception of me changed? Has other people's perception of me changed since I gave up alcohol? Unfortunately, the answer is yes. I've experienced a few different things over the years. People that I was really, really close with and would have spent a lot of time with. I've seen probably 5 times, 10 times maximum in the past 4 years. And this is people that I would have went out drinking with. But we were drinking buddies. I thought it was a bit more. Maybe it isn't. That's totally fine. I have been not invited to like nights out or certain parties, and I do think it might have had a direct connection with the fact that I don't drink, I don't do drugs. So unfortunately there is things that are going to happen, right, like that. And what? So what? I didn't get invited to a party, big deal. I'm not going to let that affect my life in the long term. If it isn't going to matter in 5 years, I'm not going to give it 5 minutes of time. And the thing is, with people, sometimes if they're not inviting me, or maybe they see me sober, maybe they're seeing something in themselves that they would like to change, and they're a bit ashamed of the fact that it's being overexposed with being around me. I don't know. People have actually come back and said that, and said they couldn't be around me at that time because they hadn't dealt with their own issues, and they felt that because if I was identifying as an alcoholic and they drank more than me, that means that they are. That's not actually the case. They're only an alcoholic, or they've only got an issue with an addiction if they truly believe that they have. So people's misconception of different things has changed their opinion of me, and where I would have maybe been invited to and what would have happened. Does that matter on the big scale? Absolutely not. Are you not going to get invited to parties? Possibly. Who cares? Who cares? Just have your own party. You know, the way that I look at it now is I always have a party at Christmas in my house. I always have a big family party. I have big family birthday parties. And I make my own parties, and I make my own time. I go away on holidays with people I want to go away on holidays with. And everything now is my own choice. Do you know what I mean? Like, I have got full control of my own mind. I've got control of my own body. I've got control of like everything going forward is what I actually, it's the decisions that I make. And I think that everybody has a right to do that. I think every single person out there has a right to make the decisions clear-headed based on what they want and not what other people around them want, or not what other people wanting them to go to a pub, or not other people wanting them to go have a drink. I think that they need to make decisions based on what they want themselves and then start everything from there. You know, am I glad that I give up alcohol? Like, if, you know, at this point, if you hadn't already got that, yes, 100%, I totally have. And do I think that everybody has the opportunity to live the life that they want? 100%. I don't think it's possible whenever you're living your full potential unless you just knock anything that's sort of distracting you. So there's many different things that, like, you still are faced with challenges every day to day. But for me, the decisions of making the yes and no, or should I do this, or should I come out of this, it's much easier now because I've got a clear head that I've got full control of. So basically, the one thing that I do I have clear goals. I have all my goals set where I'm like, I know exactly what I want and I know exactly where I'm going to. And the decision I'm faced with every day now is like, if this opportunity presents itself, does this bring me closer to my goal or does it bring me further away? If you have your clear goals set and if things are there and you say, does having this drink, does having this, whatever it may be, bring me closer to achieving my goals or further away? If it brings you further away, you need to address it and you need to look and say, why does this bring me further away and how does this bring me further away, and what do I need to do to change this so that I'm not constantly moving in the wrong direction? You may think that you just aren't achieving everything right now and things aren't working out for you and that never happens to me and why me or what, and having a bit of a pity party. At that point, you need to then really address and say, okay, well, am I doing everything that I possibly can to put myself in the right position, you know, and go through those 5 things to start with. But the reason why I made this today was because I just wanted to share my positive experiences. I wanted to share some of the things that I've learned along the way, and I wanted to show people that there is life after booze. Not only life after booze, but an amazing life after booze. And I just think if anybody got anything from this, you know, like, share, subscribe, share it with somebody who you think may need it. And yeah, any questions, please just write them below or reach out to me directly. And if I can help, I will. Thank you so much for watching.